my god, it's been so much this week. We didn't even hang up our pride flag. I just noticed. Holy hell. Dude, I am so grateful to be part of not just a system, but like my system. I am so grateful for everyone in here. And the fact that we're all here, like, God. You know, I never knew that it would be like this, looking at, like, the first things we saw were maybe the entropy system, maybe multiplicity in me, where we saw, like, positive system representation and, like, empowered plurality, and seeing that this isn't something that people see as, like, a curse. They're not fighting each other all the time. It's not making things worse. They're making things better for each other. And so much of what I see online, or saw online years ago, was, like, complete opposite, and not just from lived experience, because, you know, people have a right to talk about their experiences, whatever it is, but from clinicians and from the medicalization and the stigmatization of being a system. It's just seen so much through a singlet normative lens, and if it doesn't fit that, it's looked at and pathologized, and that is not the case. That is not the way it has to be. That is not all that being a system is. Like, they're very separate things. The CPTSD symptoms, the dissociative symptoms, the health issues, they're all really fucking difficult, but they're not the same thing as being a system. Being a system, I love. I wouldn't change for the world. I am so profoundly grateful for everyone in here, and I don't know how I would be going through life without them. It just, like, for everything, all the time, in the way we respond to each other, and the way that everyone has my back, and we have, like, we look out for each other. But two key examples of this from this week, they're making me, like, cry right now. We had one assignment that was too many triggers from too many different overwhelming things for our management strategies to be able to stay on top of. So we were getting really destabilized and thrown into, like, the fight flight more often, depersonalized more often, dissociating more often, health flare-ups, like, you know, all the things that used to be just normal for us, but since we've put so much work into building strategies, now is not just the default setting, became the default setting again because of this unit. And we just couldn't look at any of the information on it, and I was really worried. So Vince just, without being asked, I might add, fully took over it. And, like, it's not even the fact that he did it, it's, like, the way that he did it as well. He made sure that I wasn't going to, he, like, counted for the guilt cycles and the panic that he knew I'd already be having. And he was just so decisive and so calm and, like, so unaffected by everything, interested in what he was reading about. The guy I was researching would say that's because I'm an affectionless psychopath. That's because he was pathologizing as hell. You've also managed to make me laugh all week, all of these, like, last 2 weeks, despite how insanely, like, awful everything else has been. You're not affectionless anyway. Yeah, that should be the takeaway. I don't care if you post this, no. We can review it later. I was gonna have to review it anyway. There's a lot in here that I think a lot of us will have to agree on. I am so grateful, beyond grateful. And this unit was a presentation, so it was learning all this stuff and then presenting it with PowerPoint slides, which he did flawlessly. And by the way, there are so many names in this, like VYGO, I can't even pronounce, Vygotsky. I can't even pronounce it. That's insane to me. I would have been having panic attacks just from the names alone. I tried to advise that we research, like, completely different people just so we didn't have to pronounce the names, but you were fairly, and I guess rightly so, confident. Yeah, that part was all right, actually. All of it was. I did have a panic attack once I came back to the front, but that was amazing as well, because we could ask for the system, like for the people in the system to like make sure everyone else is away from the front, and then just leave him in the front. The fact that we could ask for that and that could happen is like, I can't even tell you, it's such a surreal, mind-blowing experience. We never used to have anything like this level of communication, or like, I wouldn't say control because it's not control, but like collaboration, I guess. It was amazing. And then when I came back to the front, I started having a panic attack, and he's like, it's done. And just the fact that I'm in one of the rooms of the college, I'm panicking about this presentation. It was so disorientating, but the relief and the gratitude that I felt afterwards was just like, it's like having many different superheroes all as friends that you could just say, dude, can you please do this? And someone does, and it's insane. Like the fact that I had no memory, which I know the amnesia works like that, but it's to be able to focus on it so much. Like I always end up thinking, well, if I really tried, obviously I'd remember what happened. But like, no, he could have a whole morning of presenting this thing, a whole like day of researching it, and I have no access to any of that information, which is just insane. And then this next unit we're researching has us looking at things like treatment, and that was like difficult in other ways because I'm not even going to go into it here, but at some point I will make a video on the insane medical betrayals that exist within this world when you're a dissociative system, and like the trauma that it causes to be medically neglected in such a way. And like it's been 3 years of trying to get a referral to a specialist service, and the things that are in the way and issues should not be issues. Everything is set in place and it should just be simple, but it's not, because people don't have an idea of what they're doing or how important it is, and they let things, like, it's just communication on ground level, but it's insane. And because this next unit, you do 2 units simultaneously, so oh god, it's been a lot. And then on top of this there's been other things, but like, my god, this one, it was causing many of us to dissociate and think about this and like just feel really shut down. I feel like we're the only people that ever support us. Obviously that's going to come with so many flashbacks, as well as it happening literally again. And it would have been so easy to like completely shut down and panic and like fail the unit, which would mean failing the whole course, by the way, if you fail 1 unit. It would be so easy to have like not been able to cope with that, but instead somebody else has been taking over from inside to do the research, which I'm really grateful for. And then together he was just like, shall I just do the next steps and go through PALS? And she was just like, yeah, go for it, we'll pause what we're doing. So he just immediately like collated and downloaded all of the emails, printed them to PDFs, attached them, filled it in and sent it. Like the level, how much time and how much distress that would cause me to do, it's the reason it isn't done. Just the fact that it was just such a like decisive, proactive response makes me feel so supported and like so grateful. And it's now we can focus on doing the unit without that being triggered, because we dealt with it. You know, not only did we not like completely collapse into the weight of the overwhelm and the disillusioned like disconnect that it's triggering, which of course it is, like, so understandable, but we actually dealt with the thing at the core so that it couldn't impact the work we were doing. And now we're going back to doing the work after listening to some music and like dancing together and breathing and doing this so that I can feel like we've processed. I fucking love everyone in this system.